Welcome back to the B2B Playbook. Joining me is Adam Mandarovich. We're just doing a quick little follow-up to a conversation that we just had with the founder of Predictable Revenue, Colin Stewart. That was an incredible episode. Colin was just so candid with all of his insights and experiences, and he comes across as very humble, but don't let that mislead you. He's a very experienced operator and he's working on some very exciting things and has achieved some wonderful things too. Adam, I wanted to go into a couple more things that maybe we didn't quite have time to dig into from our conversation with Colin. So if you haven't listened to our conversation with Colin, please go back and do so. Adam, we spoke with Colin about the idea of market validation and how everyone got so focused on booking meetings and that was the measure, and they took a part of predictable revenue and have kind of bastardized it, and they focused very much on volume. And we see that with a lot of the SDR outbound activity today. When we say that people need to go back to market validation, what do we actually mean by that?
Good question. And firstly, amazing call out, because I think that there's a lot of the market that don't completely understand that they have actually bastardized what Aaron and Colin's intent from the book and the action actually was, which was to have more live conversations funnily enough, George, to validate the market, where they've just taken that and they've just turned it into meetings at all costs. But what that's actually done, as we've said many times before, is wash out a whole layer of C-suite marketers and sellers that have never seen what good looks like. Therefore, they question what market validation actually means. Now, what does that mean, George? It means to catalog your market. So with leaning into your market, not trying to hard sell anyone or sell the kitchen sink or the PowerPoint presentation that puts them to sleep. What that means in actuality is finding information from who they're currently using that tells you that they've got a category requirement, how long they've been using them for, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. If they ever audit their current process to see what else is out there, what that would look like to even have that conversation, and if you'd have permission to circle back. That is a validation piece that will tell you if you can come back within 3, 6, 9 months to hand to marketing to be able to do the types of marketing that they should be doing. But furthermore, you might open up further conversations around product road mapping. So they might say, Adam and George, you're not there right now, but if you were to get XYZ within this time period, we could work with you. That then gives you a fast line from first party intent signal to provide to product that's going to enable you to meet a wider portion of the market that's validated. So I hope that clears up what market validation means.
Yeah, it does. And again, to be very clear, listeners and viewers, when we talk about market validation, it's not the idea of just going to your market, speaking to like 20 or 30 potential customers and going, hey, do you need this thing? Like that's what people will tell you when you go and launch your own company. That's what you should do. When we talk about market validation, we very much mean going, okay, who are your ideal accounts that you should be working with? You need to contact them, have a live conversation with every single one of them to find out, as Adam said, who are they currently using to solve this problem that you can help them with? What do they like? What don't they like? What does that contract look like? Do you have permission to circle back? Now, Adam, people will say that that's all well and good for you and George to sit behind your microphones and tell us you need us to get that information, but people aren't going to give us that information, are they? Or will they, Adam?
Well, as we've previously discussed, you'd be shocked to possibly find that speaking to Colin on these last 2 podcasts, he said the same thing. But in actuality, of course they will, because when you are not trying to sell them within the first 10 seconds, they actually open up and it's a lot easier to obtain that information. Sure, when I started doing that in 2001, it was easy enough just to catalog that information and then call them back with the recipe that would be able to sell them back into later. it makes it easier to sell someone something if you already know that they've got a category requirement, how they're solving the problem right now. In terms of getting that information, it just opens up the conversation. You can build that front end relationship, build that rapport, and they're much more likely to get that information, because you can also use liners like, just so I can be better for my boss for next time, is it okay that I ask you this? And then just listen.
Leaning into an existing category requirement from a marketing lens is a dream, because all of a sudden there's existing category demand. You're not trying to convince someone that they need something. They already know that they have that problem. You're leaning into what that problem is. And then you're just trying to see, do you have a better solution for that problem? So when their contract inevitably comes up, because they're already using a solution, it's part of their job to reevaluate, hey, are we getting the most out of this tool or service? Before that contract comes up, can you put something else on the table for them?
Yeah.
And that becomes where marketing and sales can work together to do that on the right time, on the buyer's terms, and you're actually helping them. You're helping them do their job.
And what the listeners would have identified is, if you can sell that way, I'm not going to say piss easy, but what I will say is it almost makes that category requirement like selling Salesforce at the dawn of Salesforce or Zoom in the head of the pandemic, right? Because they already have the category requirement. As George said, you're helping them do their due diligence and enabling that conversation by building that rapport to enable them to do their job.
And Adam, that's a lesson that you've learned over your many, many years of experience, and something that's probably a bit more common practice upper mid-market and enterprise level, but these lessons should be taken down into the mid-market and SME level too, right?
Well, it's as simple as, if you were helping your friend with who they use for their lawn mowing service, who did you use last time? Was it any good? How much did they charge? Were they on time? What did they look like? Rah, rah. It's as simple as that. Or George, when you had your BMW M2 competition detailed, who did you use? What did you like? Where was it? Was it in Paddington or was it down in near Clavelli? So you can ask those questions. The catalogued information enables you to define that requirement, go back with the winning formula at their timing, not ours, and bring marketing on the right path to enable them to be commercially viable. So sales and marketing can go back to what they were always intended to be, which is a unified process.
I love that. And Adam, probably one more thing that we didn't quite get into with Colin that I think we could have is not just how important that cataloging process is, but how it's really important that that information isn't just captured, but there is a system for passing that intelligence over to marketing. And then the intelligence collected from sales to customer success is passed along, and then from customer success back to your business development and your marketing teams as well. And I think what Colin said is, you need to go slow to go fast. These things just need simple systems set up to enable that. And then all of a sudden you can have this real transfer of information between departments that is incredibly helpful, that in most organizations get totally siloed. But you need systems to pass this information. Even something as simple as like a ticketing system, right? Between when sales captures information, we need marketing's resourcing to help us build something out. But hey, because we know when that's important now, we know it's not important for another 12 months. Let's set a ticketing system 8 months from now for marketing to make sure they allocate their resources to get this done on time with the right information to enable us with the best chance of winning that deal. So it all comes down to those systems. And I will say, Adam, that's what's so brilliant about your closed circuit selling and how everything works together. It's not just the cataloging piece. And I think that's something people miss. That's just one piece of the puzzle. It's how that is enacted across each department. And of course, the best place to learn that, Adam, is our Chief Revenue School, where we show you how to do it. And of course, our installation, where we are working one-to-one with organizations, getting very hands-on and helping equip them with this closed circuit selling model and making sure everyone is aligned around it. Did I miss anything there, Adam?
Frameworks fade and architecture endures.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we're calling it revenue alignment architecture. This is not just another sales playbook. It's not a sales and marketing playbook. It is the architecture that underpins your whole business, that allows the transfer of information from the market into your business so you are no longer guessing. And so there are systems to pass that information so each department can do its best work.
I said it any better.
Wonderful. Okay, Adam, thank you very much for that. Listeners and viewers, I hope you enjoyed that mini clip and that follow-up. And if you haven't checked out our episode with Colin Stewart from Predictable Revenue, please do so. It'll be the one before this one. Adam, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, guys.